all of the letters are just request for information with a not so thinly veiled threat that should you not provide the information, then it would be escalated. So it starts, I want to say, friendly enough. And like the first letter was fairly obtainable information. It was just like, hey, who did you sell the token to? Right? That's easy. I didn't sell it to anyone. And then like, how do you make money from the protocol? Again, easy. I don't make money from the protocol, and I kind of thought that was that. And, then the second letter comes and it's all of a sudden a lot more detailed than I expected, which at that point showed to me that I was never sure if they're actually asking questions or if they're checking if I'm lying. Because as it evolved, definitely by like letters 5, 6, it was very clear that these guys understood decentralized finance, they understood tokens, they understood how these things work. It wasn't really me providing information. It was them looking for a place where I would slip up. It's also sometimes not so much about the actual information you're saying, but it's also about how you're saying it. There's specific legalese you need to use to actually sort of cover your bases and protect your assets and stuff. And that also evolved over time, because at the start it was all about the token. It was, did I sell this? Who did I sell it to? Blah, 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 blah. And then when it was kind of clear that, look, there isn't an angle of attack for them with the token, it started being, okay, but how do I make revenue? How do I earn from the product, etc.? And then when it started becoming clear to them that that's not an angle of attack, then it started becoming, okay, but the vaults themselves are enabling securities, because if you consider sort of the Howey test and you consider how the vaults work, you are providing money to this third party with the expectation of a return. So then they start saying, okay, but the vaults themselves, the actual product, is a security. And I mean, truth be told, the only reason the letter stopped was because of the upcoming election. I'd say about probably 6 months, maybe it was 8 months before the election, I got my last one. And then since then, nothing. I received a new one a month ago, which was just finally saying that they're not pursuing any further enforcement action or they're not pressing charges or anything, which was at least nice to receive. But it's the questions, the thing that really frustrated me is that the questions were often about proving a negative. So, it's impossible. It's proof Santa Claus doesn't exist. It's like, I mean, I can theoretically tell you, but I can't actually give you proof.
But enough proof should be on them.
Yeah, but never was. It never was, and they make it clear it never will be. And at some point, I had a little bit of an ego. I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. So I was just like, you know what are you gonna do if I stop answering? And then they'll, point out that should I not comply, extradition is an option, stuff like that. So it's just always very not so thinly veiled threats, but the sheer amount of time and energy it took from me to collect the information, because sometimes it's not info I have. Like sometimes they'll ask me for logs from a third-party hosting provider that I don't even have an agreement with. And then I have to try and contact their legal teams and try and get information. And a lot of it was so onerous because you can't just say, I don't know. Like you have to provide as much evidence that you don't know. I mean, at one point, I don't remember the month, but for about 3 weeks straight, from when I woke up till when I went to bed, I was just collecting data for them and putting it in a doc. And I mean, that was somewhere between Keeper and Solidly. But I mean, that was eating up so much of my time that just became impractical to try and do anything else. Anyway, glad it's over. Not sure. Still today, I don't know why they were so aggressive about all of this stuff. I mean, I get the want and need to try and protect consumers and like hunt outright scams and frauds and things, right? But I mean, like,
I mean, there were so many low-hanging
I don't-
fruits before they should be going after something like him. Like, I don't know.
that's what I felt as well. I mean, because nowhere near their jurisdiction in any way, shape, or form, and yet somehow they're spending time and energy on that.
It was so famous that if you take, if they take this down, then there is an example or whatever. I mean, was that the thought process?
Yeah, so Stephen Pelly, that was one of his theories actually, is that like this one is so hard for them to do that if they can't do it, it sets precedence for everything else. Which was one of the theories, but also now knowing that pretty much every single team and founder went through this during that time. Some of them very obscure that I think most people wouldn't have heard of. And everyone got letters. So I also think it might have just been a blanket shotgun approach, where they were just sending out these letters to pretty much everyone like in, I don't know, maybe like the top 300 of CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap or something, and just trying to kind of shotgun the market. And I mean, look, there's a lot of builders that stopped, myself included, right? That were basically chased away by this strategy. So in some ways it worked, but it's the old monger of like, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. And until today, I just don't get the incentive other than like protecting TradFi maybe, but I don't think that opinion holds strong because I think blockchain and crypto also enriches TradFi. So
Yeah.
don't know.